Hi, everybody. So today I
Hi.
have Frank and Monica with me, and we're going to introduce all of the things that Frank and Monica do. And we're going to talk about frequency. And also, we're going to talk about gifts today because these two people have some pretty amazing gifts. And we are now, a lot of us, starting to realize what our gifts are. So let's talk about you, Frank and Monica. So, Frank creates music and Monica creates words. So
Mm.
let's talk about that.
Well, when we met, um, he told me that he wasn't playing his music anymore. Life had got in the way, and he let it go. And at the time, I owned a coffee shop, and I invited him to do Sunday afternoons,
Hmm.
open, just play his music, and he agreed. And that's kind of where it all started. And life happened. I closed the coffee shop, and we were friends. We remained friends. And he had some hardships, and he was trying to work it out. So he was hanging out in my house making music. And then suddenly I witnessed his download of melodies, and he started creating songs, and it was really mind blowing. At times, it would be so impactful that he would begin to cry because it was so amazing that he was receiving what he was
Mhm.
receiving, and I cry a lot too. So that was really moving to witness it. But they would come in as melodies. He'd start playing his guitar, and he would be humming what sounded like certain words, but they weren't really completely words yet. So I would hear it in words, and that's how we started creating these songs. But it's mostly he's the creator. I'm just, uh,
Interpreter almost.
yeah, translator. Yeah,
Right. Right.
yeah.
Mhm.
So, but he's a genius with creating music, and every single song sounds so different than the other, and he's got his own type of music. People ask me what kind of music. I don't know. It's his own. There's
Mhm.
no specific genre really, right?
I call myself the Frank Marasho because it seemed to be fitting. My last name, and then it just rolls off the tongue. So uh, that's kind of where we started with that. But I can hear the lyric in a lot of cases, but there's parts that I don't pick up, and especially the start of a song when it starts to formulate. Um, Monica, in a few of the instances, one of the songs, which I can probably give a little bit of a lick a little bit later, um, starts to hear things that are coming from a place that's not of this world, shall we say, and it starts to formulate, and that's where the two start to meet. I've got this piece going, something like "Feeling Gone" is a song. Feeling gone. I think it originally started with like feeling gone, feeling gone, and then it started turning into this feeling gone. And then one of the lines in that song are heaven, heaven on time, the world is gone. And it originally started off as gibberish to a certain extent.
It was meaningful to me because when I was going through the dark night of the soul, I had lost my job, nobody was around. I was just walking in my garden, and I was told by spirit not to read books, not to go see my healer. I was told to just be. And it was difficult because I didn't even know what that really meant at the
Mhm.
time. This was many years ago. And I was walking in my garden, and I felt like I was gone, that I wasn't alive anymore. So that's what the song, it meant more to me as the words were coming in. And, um, and it was like where is the world, you know? So the those words that he created or that came through were really meaningful for
And
me.
yet that song is not by any means from, let's say, drug induction, or there's you could have your own interpretation for it, right? It came and it's, you know, it's not important per se, but it came from this point of feeling gone is a state of mind that is slightly detached from where we are.
Mhm.
And that place of feeling gone is not necessarily good nor bad. There's a lyric, a verse in the song, which is feeling gone, led astray, mind control, students rage, feeling gone out of bounds, Mother Mary skipped this town. So the second verse, after coming out of feeling gone, other side, take a trip, Sunday drive. You got, you know, you're getting this feeling of, wow, we finally reached a point where we can just find ourselves on this cloud per se, right? And
Mhm.
then the second verse comes in, and it's the antithesis, where now we sit in a place that it gives us a slight bit of disconnection from the world that's around us. So, and I'll probably reference this song quite a bit because it's such a great song for this whole topic, because it
Totally.
is about well, and it's got the background, which I don't have a copy of it completed, but the song itself has an ohm in the background, and that ohm is is what ties us together at the very beginning. So we're coming into this life and this song, and then feeling gone, leaving, going back to Om, and then of course the song fades out into the ether.
You
So
were going to do a gong at the end, right?
we were going to do a gong, but I just, I love the Om. I love the Om. But yeah, so that's a little bit kind of a precursor to what our relationship has been. I met her, and it was almost instantaneous from a spiritual standpoint, that the two of us have either been someplace together before, kindred spirits, twin
Mhm.
flames, whatever flavor of the day you want to put on it. But there was clearly some, she gets me, and it doesn't have to be girl boy. It was more of an issue of just this two souls that had already seen a lot, both in this life and other lives, and we were definitely melding. So it was pretty cool.
Not too
Yeah.
many people to talk to about, my experiences and the realms and the spiritual connections and stuff. And he came into the coffee shop and he started talking about his experiences with signs and hawks and all this. And I was like, a man talking about this? This is nice. So it was
Yeah,
nice to talk to
the
about it.
Hawks.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
Yeah,
and
that's and
this is,
that was our thing.
yeah, I think it's
Sorry.
beautiful. You guys are connected, and you've been connected for a long, long time, lifetime wise. I would say you have more than one parallel going on right now. So you're very connected. You're continuing your work. That's what came in, and you're here for the big show for Ascension. Um, there's a whole
yeah,
lot going on here, and this is kind of how gifts and everything come in. This is also how you end up with a child like Liam,
that's not my
because
child, but
Frank
that's
is
his.
Liam's child. I mean, Frank is Liam's father.
Right, right, right.
So
Sometimes it's
you end
questionable,
up
yeah.
with an open thinker that's already aware. And that's how
Yeah,
it was for me, as a kid. But I think right now, these beautiful frequencies are really rising, and you guys are really tapped into them. And obviously, you're downloading the information from your higher being. So, from your
Right.
soul, all this stuff is coming in, and it's part of your purpose.
yeah,
So, I think
Liam
it's
has
encouraging.
been. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No,
I'm
it's
sorry, I didn't mean to.
encouraging. It's beautiful.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you. So Liam is not my son, but um, Frank used to live at my house. So Liam used to come on weekends, and it was really, what was he, 10 years old when he
Oh
started
my
coming?
gosh, he was young.
So, and he already had that spirit.
Mhm.
When he was little, before I even met him, he used to talk about seeing the molecules in plants, right? He used to see
Everything. Yeah, he would look at things and he would
formulas and
see
he would
everything
see that.
at a molecular
So
structure.
he would always talk to me, and we'd do ancestral clearing together. He was really open for that.
Mhm.
I have crystals. He was always talking to me about crystals. We'd do crystal grids. If he had an issue with somebody, he would ask me to help him do a grid and, put his affirmation underneath it. So, and he was pretty young. So he's really been open to this.
Yeah.
Yeah, one thing about that is, and Liam will attest that he has his mom, and but as far as his guidance in the recent past, and of course he's only what 20 years old. He's going to be 21 this year. It's funny listening to him talk to you and talking about him being like this, like I can't believe these kids today talking about the 9 and 10-year olds. But the thing is, he will attest to who the people are that have been pivotal in his,
Mhm.
because he had a lot of anxiety when he was a kid, and I believe wholeheartedly, I mean, through therapy and so forth on his end, that and it was confirmed, he's a smart kid, and he wasn't communicating with the people that were around him because they didn't get him to a certain extent. And he will admit that Monica is one of the reasons that he's where he is, and he has found, I mean, you've heard him talk, and he's got a pretty solid direction, and a self actualization that doesn't come from somebody who's kind of been through that without having some level of help. But with the caveat being that age group, I believe, has the capabilities when they're given the tools, being able to turn it around for themselves, and he did.
It's very cool to watch his evolution. He would question everything. He would say, sometimes he would get angry at, my responses because, how do you know? How do you know this? But it's cool to watch him evolve into who he's becoming.
Yeah.
And he
Yeah.
trusts. He doesn't just take your word for it, but he trusts when he works it through and has the logic in the whole situation. He will say, "That makes sense to me," and then he will trust. And now he's got a certain group, the posse that he trusts.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's following his own inner guidance. So that's the biggest thing for kids this age, or young people, I'll say this age. They're paving the way for the little kids. And he's impressed by the little kids, but we're impressed by the 20-year-olds. Like, we're impressed by Liam and Dior because
Right.
of how amazing they seem. And also, they're very free. So they don't
Hmm.
have as many programs or as much baggage to deal with, which I think is a beautiful thing too. So we're just
Yeah.
going forward one generation after another.
Yeah, my grandchildren are very much connected, even though they're not quite speaking yet. Some of them are, I connected with my granddaughter before she was even conceived. She came
Mm-hmm.
around and showed me who she was. Now she's exactly what I saw, this amazing little creature. But she came to me one time. I was falling asleep, and she touched my hand, and I was like, I knew it was her frequency, her energy. So I said to her, "What's going on?" And she showed me her mother vaping. So she was concerned that her mother was vaping, and I called her mother the next day, and I said, because she's aware that I do this. Sometimes they have me check in on them to see what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, "Are you vaping?" Aurora came to me last night. She's like, "Yeah, but." So she had started vaping. She goes, "I don't do it around her." I say, "Well, she's concerned for you. That's why she came to me." So and my grandson, the same thing. He comes to me um, to make sure I'm okay, checks in
Mhm.
on me,
Yeah,
So,
he's amazing. To see some of the things that you've told me about him, and it makes total sense because when you look at his pictures, you go, "Oh yeah, his lights are on for sure." You can see it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, amazing.
yeah, they're they're aware of it, or some of them are not, but I know that they have the abilities.
What
Mhm.
did you say in the very beginning? You said not surprised. Whatever I had said about being amazed about the things that I see that happen. And for me, I think the knee jerk reaction is, oh my gosh, I can't believe that I'm being given this opportunity to stand in the light. And the kids today, the kids today, the kids today have a tendency to be a lot more in the light and not that they take it for granted, but it's like, yeah,
It's a natural existence. When I
it's
was
what they
younger,
are.
I used to cry a lot because I used to feel what it was like before. So
Yeah.
being on this planet and experiencing the the way people behave, and the density of, this planet, it was really hard because I knew what it felt like not to.
Mhm.
So, and I'm sure these kids coming in know are in that already because we're creating the space for that for them.
Yeah, they see the density too, but they're also now starting to see that there's a path for
Mm-hmm.
them. But I feel like a lot of the kids that have come in have actually chosen to be mute. So kids that have come in with autism and stuff like that, they're muted because they don't want to actually speak here. They'll wait, till they can truly be heard. And, we contract for all that stuff. It's not
Mm-hmm.
like we don't know what's going to happen when we show up.
Right.
So, all the illness, all the trauma, we agreed to it,
Right.
which it really sticks in people's craw sometimes to know
Yeah, it
that.
does. It
Um,
does.
but once you realize that, then you can take responsibility for it and you can kind of nullify it and let it go and move forward, which I think is where we're at right now.
Yeah, I was raised, children should be seen and not heard.
Mm-hmm.
So when, you know, I always thought that was, horrible and poor me. But I realized that it served me because I was able to be very observant of people's changes. I was able to feel energy.
Mm-hmm.
I was able. So, not speaking, like you said, these children are coming in and they're mute. It's probably the same thing. I was taught how to feel more and
Yeah,
speak less. So,
very powerful.
mm.
So tell
Yeah,
us a little bit about your gift. How do you guys do this stuff? Do you share it? Like, do you go out and play music sometimes? Or I know this
sure. I
is
mean,
what the future is going to look like, but what are you doing
yeah.
right now?
Well, I think it's kind of funny because, you know,
He's not sharing enough. That's what I
well,
keep pushing
Okay.
him.
a lot of people, I'm sure out there in, you know, the TV land or wherever this is, Zoom land, are
Mhm.
saying, well, this guy, he's talking a good game. Well, what's he got on the table? Where can I go and hear your music? What can I do? And there's a certain amount of, there's been fear for sure. I think the fear is letting loose of something that's personal to me that I've always felt is something that I want to share. Don't get me wrong with that, but is also something that is a level of vulnerability. Now, I think a lot of people have a tendency to say, and I guess I shouldn't really speak for anybody else, but I think I look at the market. I look at the music market, right? The meat market of the music market, and the level of
He's got away with words.
Well, because that's, I mean, you look at it, and so the first thing, and with the amount of, it's not just music, but it's the level. When I see the level of people that are on the internet and they're selling and they're stashing and they're doing and shaking and jiving and moving, and it's overwhelming for a guy whose birthday was yesterday, and he's older, right? To say, oh my gosh, how do you even fit into this picture? And the only people that have kept me in the game, and I guess rightfully so, is Monica and my son, and saying, Liam is absolutely ruthless when it comes to, you're a jerk for not letting your stuff out there. Who cares? Who cares? So I have a video that I made of a song which is called Mercury, which is a song which is about what's the word I'm looking for? Dystopia, right? So it does have, it's definitely a controversial song in that sense. And the video that I made for it is it's graphic along those lines in the sense that it has it's about today. It's about today. It's about 5, 6 years ago, 7 years ago. It's not very clear. It's semi-cryptic, but ultimately it tells the story of this ridiculous landmine zone, which is...
It's funny how his songs are timely now, and he wrote them like so many years
Yeah,
ago.
a lot of people's stuff is more timely now.
Right.
Because I think we knew something was coming, but it's been like, even Ascension has been reworked many times because of all the limiting beliefs and stuff that we've had to get through, and we're still getting through them.
Right.
Where is your video?
Oh, it'll be up there. I'll get you the link. I'll get you the link.
I've been pushing him to do a video release party, and it didn't happen. Didn't happen yet.
I'll give you a little taste. That particular song goes something like this. The first.
So we're working on his fear, by the way. That's what I want to say.
I know, but I'm getting ready to belt. History's memory is fading. Oh, social inaptitudes prevailing. Yeah. All of the masks they've worn were decided by the norm. So that's the first verse, and the masks you would assume came from 2020-ish. They didn't. They came 2016, and the masks are from my picture of
not being authentic.
Right, people who are in the level of authority who wear that mask every day. So it's interesting how, when people look at it now, and the video, of course, that particular lyric has a very specific graphic with a lamb on a table and a guy with a surgical mask on. So it's a completely different. But I thought, oh my gosh, you can put whatever you want to it, and that that's what music is about. Be able to take the lyric and interpret it whatever you want to as the listener. So, but the interesting thing is that song is the song that I decided to tackle first as a full blown, fully orchestrated. I mean, I have other ones. Which I've written a long time ago that I've produced. Mm-hmm. But that song, for some reason, I said, this is the one I want to release first. And then that was part of why I haven't released it, was because I thought, well, gee, are people going to just stereotype you into being a guy who's ticked off at the world? And of course, I have the two of them is saying, just do it. Just do it. So, I would give you I'll give you the links and so forth. I think the beauty about this is that I've built a little bit of interest and intrigue, I think, over the years, and people are like, well, darn it, would you get with it? And I think when I have 4, 5, 6 songs, which is over the next 5, 6 months, I'll release, I'll do this video first, get it out there. And then as time goes on, I'll release some stuff on TikTok.
We're gonna hold you to it.
Yes. So work on the
that's the
thing
case.
that holds you back from doing it.
Right,
So
absolutely.
that's what I would say. I didn't
Absolutely.
want to go on YouTube either, but my higher self said go on YouTube. So it took me a month, but then I was on YouTube. So, and I figured out what I was supposed to be doing on YouTube as well, which was not necessarily the easiest thing. You know what you're supposed to be doing.
Right.
So just thinking about what's holding you back, and this is for everybody, this is for the audience.
Absolutely.
If you're being held back, what is it? What trauma is it? What is it in your ego that's holding you back? Because your ego is like the little eggshell around your inner child. So
Right.
we don't need that egg anymore. We don't need that shell because it's holding us back from life.
Yeah, we've done a lot of ancestral clearing and compassion key inner child work, but there's certain time, even for me, I'm still working on things. And,
Some
you
of
know,
it's
when I know
soul
I have a
stuff.
trigger,
Yeah.
yeah, when I have a trigger, you know, it takes me a while to sit with myself and do my work, you know,
Mm-hmm.
because there's this fear this little girl had. You know, it's not my fear, it's just this, you know, this fear. So,
Yep.
you know, we've been working a lot on that, and he does his own work too. This is what I love doing with my clients too. I encourage them, I give them
Oh yeah.
tools. I don't want them to need me forever. I give them tools and I want them to do their work because it's more, it sticks. You know, years ago we were able to do, you know, healings and it would stick. But now if you're not doing your own work as a client, it doesn't stick much, you know.
It's true.
It's really
Yeah.
necessary.
That's why all my stuff is like self-driven at this point. Because if people don't want to do it, they will just let it bounce. It'll bounce off of them.
Right.
Um, and one of the things too is sometimes you have to make yourself do it.
Mm-hmm. One
So
step at a
sometimes you
time,
have to push
tiny little
through.
steps.
This is a soul thing though, so think about that for you guys. So there's always one of three things going on. It's either your soul's issue and you need to integrate a shadow, you need to heal some part of your soul that's been damaged. Doing the genetic line, which you're already doing. So that's already clear for that. For you guys, for this one issue with the music, it's soul. So that is a soul thing. And everybody, when the soul comes in, the soul is like creating little programs as well. So not only are we programmed from the outside, we're also programmed from the inside. So your soul wasn't necessarily feeling that worthy either. So it's time to heal that too. And that's how we're going to go through ascension is all parts of us are going to get healed.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to use our gifts and we're going to have fun. And we're not going to care what anybody thinks because that's their limiting belief. If they're thinking you're dorky or maybe your song is too old or, whatever it is, that's their problem.
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I see the planet being completely different where
oh,
people, I
yeah.
think you even mentioned in one of your videos, what I see is like people coming together for music, and it doesn't matter what you sound like. It's just everything's going
Mm-mm.
to be such love frequency
Right.
that
Yeah.
it's not really going to matter what you sound like because everything's going to sound like
No,
love.
Right.
exactly.
So,
We went to a place the other night and played some music, and you can see if you could get the underlying political conflict out of the way, the intent of those musicians is great,
Mm-hmm.
is heartfelt, but I think what happens is, and we all have thoughts and we all come from certain places and think well, this is the way I'd like to see it. But I think as as the veil is lifted, is brought to the side, and I think that more people see the truth for what it is. And that doesn't mean anybody's right or wrong. And I think that's where we're at right now. There's one side that's saying, "Oh, I told you so." There's another side that's saying, "I don't want to be wrong." And I don't think either side is right. But once those two sides get together and start performing, and I lost the word that I really wanted to use there, and got together and started creating together,
I think
that
when
it will be exactly what it should have been, versus having topics which stand in the way. I mean, I guess as time goes on, you're going to be able to, talk about the day's events and
with
look,
an ego,
the reality about this
ego,
life.
when the ego falls away, that's when you're going to be able to,
Yeah.
really perform and be yourself and be through joy, instead of filtering it through your ego and thinking, of separation and what you think is different than me. It's just going to be different. It's going to be, everybody's going to jive, and we could think different thoughts and believe different things, but I think
Where
the
we come together is
expression-
important.
yeah, the
Is more important
expression
than
of
what we think.
authenticity is not going to have that heavy ego mind attached to it. So
Exactly. And
I
there
was trying to
won't be
remember during
that.
that whole period of time what I was trying to remember to say so
Sorry,
that I
I-
wouldn't forget it. And I'm on the verge of forgetting it, and I just want to get it out. There's, in this life, what I've seen, and I think Liam touched on this yesterday, and I had sent him a text the day prior because he had said something very similar to this, and this is what it was. It all had to do with the pain. Remember him talking about the pain, and there's this tendency for people to not want to feel any pain whatsoever, right? So first of all, I don't believe that's possible. And if it is possible, the only thing is it's prolonging the inevitable, or it's only masking that which is natural to feel. And so this comes into my philosophy on the ascension is that in order to ascend, you must live this life. And without living this life, you're not ascending anywhere. You may as well go back around and try it again, because I think the things that you needed to experience while you were here are going to hold you back. Whereas if you allow that piece of you, which is all frequency, I believe that that feeling a tear, feeling a loss is as important as feeling elation and victory, whatever that case may be. Otherwise, that's the human experience. And I saw one of the other gurus out there. Her first name is Lori, and I'll leave it at that. She was talking about. She almost seems like she switched gears, and I totally agree with her that her thing is grabbing back onto that human experience, because I don't think that we'll see this particular time again. It'll be completely different from what we see now. Whereas the 50s were different, but the 50s are a lot more similar to now, in the sense that the human condition is very, very familiar. But I think the next time, whether it's reincarnation or whatever anybody believes, I think we're going to see something that's completely at a different level. Well, maybe we go nowhere. Maybe this is it. So, I'm one of the people that says I have being as old as I am, and I'm not using that as an excuse as much as I am a crutch. I see the world, and I have a tough time letting go. I have a song. It goes like this. Someday I'm gonna get where I'm going, but for right now I'm gonna enjoy the ride. Some Sometimes you gotta walk through the fire, step out on the wire, and never look down. River flows, a million tears have fallen. Somewhere on the radio, they're calling out my name. And that's a song called Someday, obviously. And what it does is it ties together that which, we all have our own pace. And there's another guru out there who talks and says, I said, well, what's the big deal? We got forever to do this. So, yeah, we're here for the big game. And you and I know, but there's people out there that at this stage, I look and I go, hey, listen, if it's not today, it'll be tomorrow. If it's not tomorrow, it'll be 20,000 years from now, and it's still not going to matter. That's my thought.
Yeah, I think a lot of us, though, we knew it was now. That's why we're here.
Yeah, sure.
So we wouldn't have come if we didn't know that. And we're at a stage now where everything is actually happening. There's so many things that are actually happening right now that we've been asking for. And we're manifesting a sped up reality. So I think the biggest thing for me is realizing that it's actually a learning game. And knowing that you're in multiple lifetimes at once, but the real home, our real home, is out in space with all the other souls. So the real home is where we came from. And knowing that we're here to learn and we're here to expand knowledge, but also knowing that we're not satisfied with polarity anymore.
Right.
So, and neither is the source of us, because we come from we're all one being, really, when it gets down to it. So I think loving each other and being easy on each other is important, and allowing people to work through their own process is really important. And also asking them to please feel free to share their own gifts is something that's good, because I think worthiness is one of the biggest issues that humanity has had, because humanity has been squashed for so long, and it's really been very targeted. So as we go through this process, we're healing all those wounds and we're becoming who we really were meant to be. So that's the way I see it. Yeah.
And I feel like authenticity is our currency going forward. More ways than one vibes too. So.
There's a line from a Jethro Tull song. Meanwhile, back in the year one, when you were bred for humanity, sold to society in one way, and you wake up, one day you wake up, in the present day, 1,000,000 generations removed from expectations of being who you really want to be. And I had to share that because this is going back to how long ago was it? It's the 70s, and these are some brilliant writers, right? But so these were people who are ahead of their time to a certain extent, but they're still on time, right? Heaven on time, the world is going, right? That's these people, these writers have been around, and I think there are a lot of writers who didn't get caught up in the mess, right? The mess that took them, to islands away, shall we say? Too many places that shouldn't have been. And, but like I said earlier, and I forget if it was while we were having our little precursor or not, I can get it. We're all playing a role in this life. And if you really believe that there's a purpose, then you have to look at both sides and say, there have been people who have been put in positions that are being used and don't necessarily have as much control as you'd like to think that they have over their own destiny, and have done the best they can in order to get to where they are without, in a lot of cases, I think, putting themselves in their own grave too soon. And I think a lot of people have done that, and then there's a lot of people who have maybe met an early demise as well. So I see it and go, this is a show. This is the show. You're right. We're here, and we're experiencing something that I don't think if you went back to the, to the even the '60s, right, which was a tumultuous time and great, great music, great. There was a lot of controversy, on the revolutions that took place during that period of time. But yet, I think if you said, hey, listen, you're going to have a phone in your hand, you're going to be able to do whatever you want, you're going to be able to talk to whomever you want, and at the same time, there's going to be things on the horizon that are going to be at the rate of being able to walk on water yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like the things where anti-gravity and those things are on the verge of being let out of the bag finally, And I think it's just amazing. It really is amazing. And so frequency, you got the dial, and at the very beginning of Mercury, there's if you've ever listened to shortwave radio at night, and you hear the sounds that come in on shortwave radio, the sine waves and the sound waves, and you're getting all sorts of different whistles and FM frequencies that are happening at the same time. And occasionally, if you're listening to shortwave radio, you hear somebody talking, and the guy comes in and he says CQ, CQ. CQDX is a term used to call on somebody that's traveling from you're traveling by radio frequency to another side of the world, right? And so this bangs off the clouds and ends up in Italy. And I believe that everything is about taking that dial and tuning that dial in. So she's sitting right next to me.
Mm-hmm.
She has this craziness about her that she goes places and she's not even seen. And we were just talking about it today, and after she told me about and I saw it happen firsthand. Like person walks up to me and says, "Hey, how you doing?" They don't even see that she's there. And the reason I bring this up, because again, this is about frequency. She's sitting there, they don't even see her. She tells me about another situation. I said, "Oh my gosh, what if they really can't see you? What if they just can't see you? It's not really their fault. It's just the fact is, for that moment, you're oblivious to them."
Maybe
and I
they're
thought that
not-
there's a very good possibility, because the way the frequencies are rolling, I think some people it's like a distant ship, smoke on the horizon, right? Some
It's a
people,
You're
separate
missing the
parallel.
dial.
it
Yeah.
is crazy.
So my favorite analogy for that is the ceiling fan. The reason
Let her
that we
know about
can't
that.
see ETs is because they're vibrating too fast. So as you turn the fan up, you can't see the blades anymore.
Mhm.
So they can't see you because you're vibrating too fast for them. Even if they knew that you were there, they wouldn't be able to pay attention to you because
Right.
it's too
Yeah.
hard to do that.
If I didn't see that happen, I would be probably very pragmatic and say, well, there's got to be a reason.
Well,
Or
I have felt
but I've
invisible
seen
many
this-
times in my life, and
It
now
happens
it
a
just
lot.
makes
Yeah.
And now it's making more sense to me.
because of the
Crazy.
frequency,
Yeah.
So yeah, it sounds.
But he witnessed it for the first
It,
time.
it
and was really
sounds
bizarre.
almost unbelievable to me, because it's not the first thing that would have come to my mind, but it may be a lot easier for you with the ceiling fan. And I love that analogy. I heard it yesterday talking to the other kids. She brings that up at least in once every.
I know. I
every
heard
I
it.
do that a lot because
It's a good one. It's a good
I've
one.
had somebody standing right next to me saying there's an ET standing beside me. If you turn up your frequency, you'll be able to see it too. And
Yeah.
bypassing that completely because my brain didn't want to acknowledge it.
Yeah.
So there were 3 people in the room and 1 ET. 2 people in the room totally ignored the other person that could see the ET and said, "Oh, okay, that's nice," and totally ignored it and went on to the next part of the conversation. And I watched her face. Her face was like, "Okay, guess they're not ready."
Did you see
know.
Paul? Did you see Polar Express?
Yes.
Yeah.
Did you see Polar Express?
Yeah.
So this is something I always bring up to Monica, and she hadn't seen it, but that for me, one of the biggest analogies for me, because of who I am and because of my past, I always say, I have the easiest way I can explain is I have a problem hearing the bell ring. And I was sitting contemplating the other night in a little bit of a meditational state, and I said, you need to turn, in order for me to take my frequency and turn the dial, that is going to require shedding some of that which exists at this level, because those things which are at this level have such a frequency, a controlling frequency,
Yeah.
that it makes it almost impossible to get to any other level until you shed that skin.
To
Yeah.
density.
So I really started to, think, okay, so, and my plans are, okay, so how am I going to shed that? And I'm going to do some work and I'm going to figure it out. But I know the bell is there. I do know it. And when I was a kid, I went to organized school, parochial schools, and I always had questions. But I remember running off the bus one day feeling lost and anxious about forever. And that moment was this expansion that took place in my body that put me in that place. And it was hard it was almost, and there was nobody there when I got home. And I think that's the part that became the trauma in the whole situation, versus if I had gone home and my mom was there and she said, oh, honey, here's what's going on. But you have all of these dogmatic thoughts that are in your head, and now you're trying to process something of infinite proportion in a box, and it doesn't work that way.
No, doesn't. So we have to get rid of the box.
True. And part of that box getting rid of that box is
Sitting
releasing, is releasing it's probably as easy as releasing the music and letting it go. Another thing that I had been discussing about the whole aspect of the frequency is just, it's either just saying yes to everything. What if you just said yes to everything? People think, oh my gosh, that would be dangerous. But you don't know if it would be dangerous if you can't. What would happen in life if you knew you could not fail? You'd say yes to everything, because there'd be nothing that you would fail at. So there's a couple of those, and you've got the pragmatic, and I have 50% thought process in my brain. Half of it's thinking left brain, half of it's thinking right. So I do have the scientific calculating side, but I also have this artistic side. Unfortunately, I'm not. I would love to be just a little bit further on the artistic side, because I would probably believe without a doubt and not have any issues with anything. But it's been a tough road, but it's also been, at the same time, it's helped me ask a lot of questions, and also I think has put me right where I am today. And didn't put me islands away, because I could have been in, let's say, because if I had gotten
protection, but you don't have to worry about that now. You can release your own music.
Right.
However, so this is what I would ask yourself, and you don't have to answer during this video. Think about what it would be like if you release your stuff, your gift, you share it with the world next month, or you keep waiting. What is the cost of waiting to share who you are versus the cost of sharing it now? And that's for everybody. Because we all
sometimes I look
have
at things.
gifts.
right.
I think sometimes it helps me to say, will I regret not doing it, or will I regret doing it?
The two things that always, I've got excuses for everything, right? The two things that come to my mind initially are, oh, I'm going to fail and nobody's going to watch, or I'm going to have 5 million views and
it's going to be too much,
and I'm going to have controversy. And yet and I haven't been ready to take, because I don't know which side is worse. And then part of me says, you're never going to know unless you do it, right? I mean, you're just not going to
Well, and
know.
also, who cares either way? Here's the
Exactly.
thing. It's the
Exactly.
attachment. So
Right.
you could put it out and nobody pays attention to it. And then a year from now, everybody pays attention to it.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So it's the attachment. It's the energetic attachment that we put on whatever we're doing
Right.
that stops the progress.
Mm-hmm.
So
I agree. I agree
yeah.
with you 100%. So this conversation and this opportunity is as
We're
therapeutic for
pushing
me.
you.
What? Oh no,
I
no.
feel
Listen,
like
that's
we're pushing you, but I
it's
like it.
No,
It's
it's
important.
therapeutic. This is important, and it's
Yeah.
not. Now I got 3 people. I am totally with you on this, and I'm not one that will say, "Oh, when I get off this conversation, I'm looking back on it as being part of my revival, part of my emancipation to get away from that which has held me back." So no, I do appreciate it, 100%.
Okay. Good. I just
I'm
spent
feeling good
a
about it.
while talking to Mia about making sure you just act however you want. You fly your freak flag and you just enjoy yourself and be as weird as possible. It doesn't matter anymore.
Right.
Right.
And
There's a
people
lot of
need to see that.
people that are in a lot of pain, or people that are holding back their gifts. I've noticed. So, and it's very hard for them to let go of the control and the I guess part fear, unknown fear, of just letting loose,
Yeah. It's like a
So you
pressure
don't want to hold
cooker.
on to pain. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
exactly it. Yeah.
Once you pop, we'll all be ready to listen.
Yeah,
And
see, the energy.
yeah.
I heard somebody say that the energy that you're not using, your gift, whatever you're not using, it becomes like a pressure cooker, like you just said.
Yeah.
So yeah, so use them. Stomp your feet, do something, dance, create. That's the big one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So for me, the therapy and the piece of the puzzle, right back to frequency. What you want to raise your frequency? I've got another song that I just started working on that's called "Guilty as Charged." Right. So guilty as charged, because my thought is you take that which is facing you, and if I can write about it and I can put it on paper, ultimately that's now a piece of me that I'll give it to the world, and I'm giving it up. And so that'll be another piece. So what seems to be like Joe Dispenza will talk about, and you say, what if the worst thing that ever happened to you turns out to be the best thing that ever happened to you? So you
Yeah.
never know those things that are actually going to be the positives, or maybe there's no more negatives. Maybe it's just an issue of learning, like you're talking about, right? Learning. And I think that's absolutely true.
Well, and we're on a great adventure together.
That's amazing.
We're doing this beautiful adventure. And you, Monica, has written all these words for you too. So you have like both of you, this is both your creation.
Man, she's not my ghostwriter. You're
No.
not my ghostwriter,
No,
man.
I'm not.
She helped me with a couple of those
I
things.
just translate the ones
Okay.
that he can't.
So-
He can't tune into the frequency.
Yeah,
so-
I mean, she what
I'm not
what
the
I
ghostwriter.
we have a song that was written. It's called Hurricane, and there's a part in the song. So I write the lyrics,
Okay.
you twisted everything I said to you like tentacles around its play. You're fighting just to contradict me, juggling every word I say. And it was only, and this was almost a love song. You made it feel so unreal. I was your knight in shining armor, and I was having trouble with the next line. And she said, "Well, didn't the person say you need a man of steel?" And I looked at her and I said, "Oh my God." But you need a man of steel became like, so it's as if we are linked in that way, but she has been a big inspiration. And at the same, so a lot of those words, maybe you could have written them. but I did. And then
It's
she'll
not
come up with
my
a piece
thing.
that's very, very integral in what I felt was a pivotal moment in that song. It's such a showstopper of a line that it's like, oh man, how I can't even picture the song without it. So that's kind of where we go with that. And
Yeah, but I'm not his ghostwriter, no.
you and my
Ghost,
girlfriend.
maybe, yeah.
Yeah, you're a ghostwriter. Yeah, sure,
In
sure,
that term, right.
sure.
Not really.
Well, I think
But
she
it's,
helps your inspiration and
oh,
pull
no
in
question.
all the,
I have said that.
she's amping up the field around you.
Right.
So,
And
yeah.
we've had our times where I've said, I've been ticked off, and I said, it's not like it used to be. There was a time where she was struggling herself, and she didn't want to have anything to do with me coming over and having anything to do with really the music per se, because she was dealing with her own things, and she, felt I was being a little bit too self-centered, and all I really wanted to do was share, because and I don't think she realized that I really draw from her listening and being part of the sounding board, and
But draw
and
is
I
the
had to say, listen, that was part of this whole thing. I miss that. I miss that aspect. Yeah, I can do it on my own.
but part of my learning journey was to not be not siphon my energy. I needed to work on my own stuff. So we were, I
Right.
needed to separate and do me because I tend to just give everything away to everybody.
Yeah.
So, it's just recently that I'm really in the love flow,
And it is amazing to
because
see
I
the
took time for
transformation.
myself.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's crazy. Crazy
Yeah,
the
that's where a
transformation.
lot of healers, so you're doing mediumship, right? Healing, and you work with a lot of essential oils and you help with a lot of generational stuff.
She
But
uses tuning forks as well, and does healing frequency as well.
I love that. Yeah, I love it. So
Yeah.
Monica is doing herself right now as well. Like the healers have had to learn how to heal themselves and also not give away all their energy, because that's one of the programs that healers were given, is to just spread yourself so thin until you're almost dead, basically.
Oh, I've been there a few times
Yeah.
where I just
So that's what healers have been learning. And also that not only is the healer sovereign, but so is the person who's wanting to be healed. So they need to participate. So I think
right.
that's beautiful that you came to that.
Yeah, I had to. I mean, it was hard because that's my thing. I take care of the elderly too, and that's my thing. I take care of
Mhm.
everybody, and I think I was kind of groomed for that when my brother he was seven when he died of leukemia. So for 5 years, and I was 5 years older. So for 5 years, I took care of him. So that was kind of like the grooming process of taking care of people,
Mhm.
and I'm still doing it. But I've learned that if I don't take care of me and if I don't love me, there will be no me.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and I've also learned the more that you help yourself and the more you heal yourself, you're healing the planet, you're healing the water, you're healing everything. So that made it easier for me to really bring the focus back to myself. So,
Yeah. So important.
yeah,
So
it really
important.
is.
And it's so important to be able to dive into who you are, to go inside, you know, and that's important. And it's scary at first because we want
Mm-hmm.
to look outside for information when we're afraid to see what's gone on inside.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the victim versus sovereign thing that's going on right now. And people are at different levels of that.
Mm-hmm.
So, but music is healing. What you're doing is healing, and the collaboration is healing.
Right.
So everything that you guys are doing together is filled with gifts.
Mm-hmm.
And just knowing that, I think for the audience, like you guys have gifts too. So
Yeah.
figure out how to share them a little bit, even if it's only with one other person or just with yourself to start with.
Mm-hmm.
Don't deny any of them.
Well, I'll make a promise right now. I'm not going to guarantee the Super Bowl, but I will. But I will make this promise. I will say that by the next show that we do together, I will have.
She's writing it down.
She can write it down. She can write it
Yes,
down.
I
This
am.
is because I'm there already. I mean, I am there. I'll have the video will already be out, and I'll have a body of TikTok videos that we can share with the people that are out there, and a channel so they can. I have a channel, but I'm not. I'm not gonna give it out right this second. We'll do it the next show. It's something to look
Okay.
forward to, right? So if
3
people
months
really
from
enjoyed this,
now.
then hey,
3 months. So you got a
wow.
lot to do.
Okay. Well, if
And
I
we'll
got
have
stuff
you
in the
and
meantime, I'll
Liam.
send it to you. Yeah, right. All three of us could be on.
Yeah.
The three of us together actually meld really well. And I think that he is the heir apparent, right? He does have that kind of the combination of the both of us. A lot of male energy. He's definitely you know,
He's in his masculinity.
oh,
That's
he
for
is.
sure. Yeah.
But he's
He's a
such a great
very old soul.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's funny because the one I was going to call her a waitress, the nurse that was at the birth, he was very pensive when he was very young, and we knew. I mean, I didn't know really the term as much, old soul. This is back at a time where I just learned about chiropractic, and I finally started learning about the better way to live per se, right? And she said, "Oh, he's such an old soul." And I took a picture of him on the way home, and that picture, we'll share it the next time, is him just looking at the world out the window
It's
with
like,
this
He's like, what did I
pensive.
do?
what the hell am I doing?
I,
That's so funny.
I'm amazed because I I've always had to stay on my toes with him from the very beginning. I went through a lot of anxiety and depression during that period of time, and I was gone for part of that, which I really regret. And I had my share of mishaps and so forth. But there's a when I look back, he is one of the driving forces in you really want to you either suck it up and put yourself in a position to not so much make him proud, but to his expectation is only to see you do the best with what you have
Mhm.
to give, and doesn't expect anything less from you. Forget more. He doesn't expect anything less. Well, why can't you do that? Why can't you do that? Why can't you do that? Well, because I can't. That's not good enough for me. And that's why we're having a conversation on the internet today,
Yes.
because he
I love
says you
it.
need to do this.
Those kids, they're going to be the teachers. So
Yeah.
Yes.
beautiful. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, thank you guys so much. This was so much fun.
It was
And
so
I enjoyed it.
fun. Thank
I
you.
would like to put, if I can't put Frank's information below, I would like to put your information below, Monica. And
Okay.
I would like you to do that.
so, if there's somebody in your area that you can work with them if they want to do those frequency things,
Sure.
because it's so amazing.
Yeah, they
So,
are.
yeah.
I just wanted to say an experience that I had with essential oils that had me sold to their frequency, and I love frequency, the whole concept of it. Before I even really understood it completely, I was taught a treatment for reversing hear loss. So I was using the oil helichrysum, and I was doing just putting it outside my ear because I had some hearing loss. And every morning I would put it on, and one morning I started to hear angel music. That's what I called it because I've never heard it before. I didn't know what it was. It was just this music that was coming from somewhere. I didn't know what, and so I kind of freaked out at the time. So I stopped using the oil. Fast forward years, yeah, that's where I was. Anyway, fast forward years. Later, I'm watching a YouTube video, and this woman is plugging in her plants on amplifiers, and I started crying because that was the angel music I heard from these oils. So the frequency is there, they're alive, they're God essence. So I love working with them.
Love
That's what I
that.
wanted to say, my story about that.
I love it. It's
Yeah,
beautiful. And I
it
love
is.
essential oils too. I don't really know what I'm doing, but I love them. And of course I
Oh,
buy them. So I like,
you
I'm
don't
gonna
have
use
to
this for
know.
that. Yeah. It's so fun. All this stuff
Yeah,
is so much fun. So
yeah.
thank you both. I'm so glad that you both got to come. And
I'm
Me
glad too.
too. Thanks for
yeah,
the invite.
yeah, it's really beautiful.
Absolutely.
So
Look forward to the next time.
yeah, I do too. Because we're gonna hear all your stuff and put it all down.
Yes, yes, yes. You'll have
Yeah.
my contact
That's right.
information.
Okay. All
Thanks.
right.
Thank you,
Thank
honey.
you.
All right.
Bye,
Take
Bye bye.
care.
everybody.
Bye bye.
See you.